Why we forget. The extraordinary science behind why your brain chooses to forget. Part 3 Final. Welcome back to Army. Throughout today's journey, we've discovered that forgetting is not a flaw in the human brain. It is one of its greatest strengths. We've learned how Hermann Ebbinghaus revealed the forgetting curve, how the hippocampus helps create new memories, why sleep strengthens learning, and why emotions can make certain experiences unforgettable. But now we arrive at one final question. Can we actually improve our memory? The answer, according to modern neuroscience, is yes, but perhaps not in the way most people imagine. Many people believe that improving memory simply means forcing the brain to remember more information. Scientists have found something different. The most effective learners are not the people with the biggest memories. They are the people who understand how memory works. One of the most powerful discoveries is something called retrieval practice. Imagine you read an entire chapter of a book. Then you immediately read it again. It feels productive. The words become familiar. You begin to think you've learned the material. But when you try to explain it the next day, much of it has disappeared. Now imagine a different approach. Instead of reading the chapter again, you close the book and ask yourself, what can I remember? At first, it feels much more difficult. You struggle, you hesitate, you forget. Ironically, that struggle is exactly what helps the brain learn. Researchers have repeatedly shown that actively retrieving information strengthens memory much more effectively than simply reviewing it over and over again. Every successful recall tells the brain, this information is important. Keep it. Another strategy supported by decades of research is spaced repetition. Rather than studying for 6 hours the night before an exam, neuroscientists recommend reviewing information over multiple days or weeks. Each review occurs just as the memory begins to weaken. Every review strengthens the neural connections a little more. Eventually, the information becomes remarkably stable. This principle is now used in language learning applications, medical schools, and pilot training around the world. Sleep is equally important. Professor Matthew Walker, a neuroscientist at the University of California, Berkeley, has spent years studying sleep and memory. His research suggests that sleeping after learning allows the brain to reorganize and stabilize newly formed memories. In one study, participants who slept after learning performed significantly better on memory tests than those who remained awake for extended periods. The lesson is simple. Studying late into the night while sacrificing sleep may actually reduce the amount you remember the next day. Sometimes the smartest thing you can do after learning is simply go to bed. Exercise also plays a surprisingly important role. When you move your body, your brain benefits as well. Researchers have found that regular physical activity increases the production of a protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF. Many neuroscientists describe BDNF as a type of fertilizer for the brain. It helps neurons survive, grow, and form stronger connections. This is one reason why physically active people often perform better on certain learning and memory tasks. Nutrition matters too. Although there is no single memory food, the brain depends on a balanced diet to function efficiently. Omega-3 fatty acids, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and adequate hydration all support overall brain health. The brain represents only about 2% of the body's weight, yet it consumes roughly 20% of the body's energy. It is constantly active, constantly adapting, constantly learning. Perhaps one of the most encouraging discoveries in neuroscience is that the brain remains capable of change throughout life. For many years, scientists believed the adult brain was largely fixed. Today we know that learning never truly stops. Older adults can still build new neural connections. People can still learn languages, acquire musical skills, develop new hobbies, recover functions after injuries. The brain is far more adaptable than researchers once imagined. Of course, certain neurological diseases can seriously affect memory. Conditions such as, and other forms of dementia gradually damage the brain's memory systems. Scientists around the world continue searching for better treatments and earlier methods of detection. Although many questions remain unanswered, Advances in neuroscience over the past few decades have dramatically improved our understanding of how memory works, and perhaps one day, those discoveries will help millions of families around the world. But before we end today's journey, let's return to the question we asked at the very beginning. What if you could remember absolutely everything? There are a handful of individuals with an extremely rare condition known as highly superior autobiographical memory, or sham. These people can recall astonishing details from almost every day of their lives. Ask them what happened on a specific date many years ago, and they may remember the weather, what they wore, conversations they had, and events that most people would have forgotten long ago. At first, this sounds like an extraordinary gift, but many people with sham describe it differently. Painful memories remain just as vivid as happy ones. Embarrassing moments never truly fade. Old sadness can feel surprisingly fresh. Their experiences remind scientists of an important truth. Forgetting is not always a weakness. Sometimes it is a form of healing. It allows painful experiences to lose their emotional intensity. It helps us adapt. It helps us move forward. Perhaps forgetting is not the opposite of remembering. Perhaps the two exist together, each making the other possible. Without forgetting, the brain would drown in unnecessary information. Without remembering, we could never learn from the past. Human intelligence depends on the delicate balance between both. As we come to the end of today's journey, let's remember one simple truth. Your memory is not a perfect recording device. It is a living system. It grows, it changes, it adapts. Every day, your brain quietly decides which moments will become part of your story and which will gently fade away. That invisible process allows you to learn new skills, overcome painful experiences, recognize familiar faces, and continue growing throughout your life. Perhaps the next time you forget where you left your keys, or struggle to remember someone's name, don't be too quick to blame your brain, because at that very moment, it may be doing exactly what millions of years of evolution designed it to do. This is Army. Thank you for joining me on another journey into the science behind everyday life. If today's episode changed the way you think about memory, then perhaps you'll never see forgetting in quite the same way again. Until next time, keep asking questions, keep learning, keep challenging your mind, and never stop wondering why. Thank you for watching Army. See you in the next episode.